Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to askNK. Today we have some interesting new feature updates that is coming or that is presently in Blender 2.90. So presently I have Blender 2.90.0 alpha, and the update here has to do with the SCULPT VERTEX color painting system that is now available. So if you're trying to paint in your sculpting mode right now, you'll be able to do that. All right, so we're going to dive right into Blender and take a look at how this is done, as we have a default cube right here. So we've been talking about some features that are now here in Blender, and I'll simply go over, make a subdivision. Let's increase the subdivision all the way to 4. So we've seen all these updates. They don't look so new to us right now. So I'm just simply going to go through, right click, make smooth shading, and we'll jump over to the sculpting mode. Now within the sculpting mode, you would notice that this looks like everything you've ever saw until I do this. And now you see 4 unknown buttons. Now you notice the first one is called paint, second one is called smear, third one is called the cloth filter. We've talked about the cloth filter before, and I would actually talk about it a little bit just for the sake of talking about it. And now we have a color filter. Wow. So what does this mean? So this is very cool. I'm just going to press F on the keyboard just to get this all the way up, and let's rotate this cube around, or the sphere right now around. So if I go ahead and click right here where we have paint, guess what is going to happen? We can now paint. So I can simply go all the way up and switch this to red, or I don't know, fuchsia, whatever color that is. And now if I paint, nothing is happening. All right, so the reason why you don't see anything here is because you have to come over here and you need to change this from material, which is the color that needs to be displayed, to vertex. And now you can see in all its glory vertex color directly in your sculpting mode. So you can just simply go ahead and start painting. So if you have a sculpt and you want to paint, it is possible for you to do that right now. One thing which I have also tried to see is when you switch these to something like this, you probably don't see it, right? But if you're trying to just paint to preview what you're trying to work on, in most cases you want to get this cool feature, you want to play with this. This makes a lot of sense. The initial commit includes the new brush engine for smooth, smear brushes, color filter, new color picker, voxel remesh support, and data conversion utilities. So these are the things that are available here, and we're going to talk about some of them now. So with this here, I can also switch and select another color. For those who will be asking, do you have multicolor selection? Yes, and I can go in with my pen and paint, and you can see that it respects, in all of its glory, it respects pressure. So this is what we have without so much pressing, and this is what we have with a lot of pressing. All right, so if I press down slowly, we have this. If I press down a lot, we have that. Respects that. Pretty cool. I like the painting engine or the brush engine. So the next thing which we'll take a look at is right here. You can actually start smearing this. Of course, we might not really see so much of a a feature or feedback, but I'm just going to do that so you guys can see. So when we smear, you see it kind of smooths this. I don't know if you guys could actually notice that. So it kind of smooths this, so you can smear a paint more like what you can do in Photoshop. You can now simply smear paints around. So if you have a pen display, this is definitely going to be useful. Or maybe if you have a pen tab, this is definitely going to be very, very useful, as you can smear colors around. This is very satisfying to do. Another thing that we can do is we would jump right over here where we have the color filter. So with the color filter, it works in a kind of way, all right? In a kind of way. So right now you can play with the strength and you can click and drag, but you don't see an update till you middle mouse to update, then the update actually comes in. I think because this is the first build, so don't get crazy about it. It's the first build. So with the first build, you expect things like this. Obviously, this is going to get better over time, but for the most part, I just love smearing stuff. All right. So with this now, which is the hue, you can make some color adjustments. So I can also just click and drag with the left mouse button and middle mouse to get an update. Click and drag with the left mouse button, middle mouse to get an update. The same thing goes here, and you can see you can get different variations of colors. This is very, very interesting and impressive. Now you think the hue is the only thing that you can have access to, right? But no, that is not the only thing you have access to, because right now you can also go over to the hue section and change this to saturation. And with the saturation, you can also do some cool stuff, and you can saturate things a little bit. I can click and drag and get some saturation, and you can see it's happening around, it's happening all over. So yeah, we can do that and smear things around as well. So you can smear things around, more like blurring things around, and this looks good. Another cool thing that you can do is if you simply select the color filter, you have a lot of things you can do here. Despite the hue and saturation, you can still smooth. You can go from red to green, so you can play with individual channels, and then you can play with the brightness, you can play with the contrast, and also you can play with the value, right? So this makes sense. So if I simply select the smooth, check this out. I can go in and I can start smoothing this. Actually, let me just make sure I have that smooth turned on, and you can see a bit and you get that feedback, and you can get lovely looking stuff. All right, so with this said, let's dive and take a look with Suzanne the monkey. Shift and A to bring out Suzanne, and Suzanne is right here. So I'm going to hit Ctrl 5. All right, that looks really cool. So Ctrl 5 to get Suzanne right there. Come right here, click right here. If you haven't seen any of the updates that we've been talking about 2.9, what are you missing? Okay, so you can now click right here and click on apply. All right. With this here, I can now jump over to sculpting. There are beautiful things you can now do with the paint. So with the painting tool, you can actually not just paint, all right? So you originally know that we did this very interesting thing here where we had to go and, you know, switch this to VERTEX so we can see what's going on. Press F and increase this and start painting, all right? So you saw this, Now you have all of this, so you can now pick any of these blending forms and work with them. So if I simply go over and click on overlay, I can overlay this. Actually, let's take something else, maybe that color. All right, so we can throw in that overlay and I can paint in this. You don't really see that much now, do you? Actually, that doesn't really make sense. So I'm going to simply select maybe an add and switch this to blue. All right, now that looks good. So we can paint in that, and I'm just simply going to switch that to mix, switch this to green, boom, baby, and you have this for yourself. So with this beautiful thing going on here, this doesn't just do these things by itself. It also has certain parameters that you can pay attention to. So one of them is within the brush, you can choose to pay attention and get some auto masking for topology, face sets, mesh boundary, face sets with boundary, and at the same time you can use original, plain, normal, and also face sets just to get some things going for you. Now these are things that you can push forward to if you are looking at an advanced form of working with this tool. So with this right here, painting has never been more easier, all right? So it has never been more easier in the sculpting room with this. So you can actually paint in this and do all of that stuff. When you want to deal with textures, you can actually start working with the texture right here. For this, I think there is an implementation for that. Once there's an update to these things, I'm going to cover them and show it to you guys. And we have the stroke, the fall off, all these things in their glory. So we had already covered something that deals with the cloth filter before. I'm just simply going to create a grid and scale this grid all the way up. And with this grid up, I'm just going to simply raise this all the way to a point like that. Actually, let's move this. Let's hide that. Let's hide this. All right. So with this here, we already talked about this one a long time. So in case you haven't seen that, I'm just trying to explain something. Okay, so I'm making these about 2, click right here, apply, and we are jumping back into the sculpt room. All right, so with what we have here, we've already talked about how you can play with the remesh. So if remeshing is what you want to do, now if you want to throw in your DIN topo, you can also go in and do that. So with this here, I can just simply paint a particular place, jump right over where we have our cloth. And just in case you haven't seen that, this is just, you know, super lovely. Of course it is, and we can jump right here and smooth shade this, and also hit Ctrl 2, Ctrl 3, something like that, just to add, you know, subdivision onto something like this. I already talked about the idea that the Voxel remesh support is also here. So if I just simply go ahead and hit this and apply this, and let's say we've done the cloth which we want, right? This is the cloth we're looking for. Let's go over to the sculpt room. Ooh, so we have a couple of bugs here, and yeah, these things are all up for bugs. So if you're having things like this, it's not you. I don't think it's you. It's probably the build. All right, so there is this tiny bug here. So we were talking about the voxel remesh. So if you go over to the voxel remesh, you can now use this and I pick or I drop certain details, and you can play with the sample details that you have right here. We can go ahead and remesh this. I think this is a little bit too much, so I will simply dial this to 0.1. I guess that should be fine. Yeah, so we can do that and click right here, and we will be able to have a mesh like this that we can work with. If we want to remesh this a little bit more, so 0.01, I guess, maybe. Yeah, something like that would be cool. Let's see what we have. Ooh, that doesn't look so bad. And yeah, you can also go through, use the mesh filter, use the smooth or the relax. That is a new cool feature that you have right here. And you can simply relax these things and get good with them. So this is about it. And if you're trying to get this, I'm going to put a link in the description where you can download this tool and also start playing with it. Blender 2.9 seems to be coming in very strong with all of the updates that they are coming up with, and this is just, you know, it's just a bit too fast. I guess a lot of people would be saying it took about a couple of years Blender 2.7 to have existed, and in less than a year we're skipping all the way from Blender 2.8 to 2.9. And this is the beauty about open source and beauty about development and stuff like this. And you can see that once you're painting, you are having a smooth painting across this. So if you're trying to work with voxels, you're trying to work with, you know, the smear brushes and all that stuff, it is extremely easy, and you can see how beautiful this is. And I would definitely want you guys, or, you know, suggest that you go ahead and try these things out for yourself and see what this looks like. So that is definitely going to be about it, guys. I would like to know what you guys think about this in the comment section. If you want to see more updates about Blender, take a look at the description. If you want to see a couple of plugins that we've talked about, new nice add-ons that you can play with, take a look at the description and you would find yourself a couple of cool things that would make your life even way easier. All right, so tell me what you guys think about this in the comment section. And of course, if you like this video or you learned something from this, then you can go ahead and hit the like button, and don't forget to share with a friend. And if you're new here, it's going to be amazing for you to hit the subscribe button and also turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or the next update. And until I see you guys again with a tutorial update, Free Friday, Tutorial Tuesday, tips and tricks, things like this. Peace.